miss you. I lay in bed and close my eyes, hold a picture in my...
Hello everyone and welcome to English for Always. In this video, we're gonna carry on chapter 11 and 12 of Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Now let's start.
It's you. I go outside and I just breathe. Sometimes I even hit my knees, ask God to help my heart, and I fall apart.
Chapter 11. Beth. 10 days after their mother went away, Beth came home late after one of several visits to a sick baby at the Hummels' house. She went straight to her mother's room and sat herself inside. Half an hour later, Joe found her sitting there, looking very ill. "Beth, what's the matter?" cried Joe. Beth put out a hand to keep her away. "You had scarlet fever, haven't you?" she said. "Years ago, when Meg did," said Joe. "Why?" "Oh, Joe, Mrs. Hummel's baby is dead," said Beth. "It died in my arms before Mrs. Hummel got home." "My poor Beth, how awful for you," said Joe, putting an arm around her sister. "What did you do?" "I just sat and held it until Mrs. Hummel came with the doctor." He looked at Henrik and Mina, who was also feeling sick. "It's scarlet fever," he said. Then he told me to come home and take some medicine quickly, or I would catch it too. "I'll fetch Hannah," said Joe. "Don't let Amy come," said Beth. "She hasn't had it, and I don't want to give it to her." It was decided that Amy must go to Aunt March's house, so Laurie took her there. Poor Amy did not like this plan at all, and only agreed to go when Laurie said he would visit her every day to bring her news of Beth. When Laurie got back, he asked Joe and Meg if he ought to send a telegram to Mrs. March. "Hannah says Mother can't leave Father and would only worry," says Meg. "She says Beth won't be sick long and that she knows what to do, but it doesn't seem right." Mr. Lawrence was not allowed to see Beth, and Meg felt unhappy writing letters to her mother, saying nothing about Beth's illness. Joe nursed Beth night and day, but the time came when Beth did not know her and called for her mother. Joe was frightened, and Meg begged to be allowed to write a truce, but Hannah said there was no danger yet. Then a letter came saying that Mr. March was worse and could not think of coming home for a long time. How dark the day seemed, how sad and lonely. The sisters worked and waited as the shadow of death lay over the once happy home. It was then that Meg realized how rich she had been in the things that really mattered: love, peace, good health. And Joe, watching her little sister, thought about how unselfish Beth always was, living for others and trying to make home a happy place for all who came there. Amy, sad and lonely at Aunt Madge's house, just wanted to come home so that she could do something to help Beth. On the first day of December, the doctor came in the morning. He looked at Beth and said quietly, "If Mrs. March can leave her husband, I think she should come home now." Jo threw on her coat and ran out into the snow to send a telegram. When she arrived back, Laurie came with a letter saying that Mr. March was getting better again. This was good news, but Joe's face wasn't happy, and Laurie asked, "What is it? Is Beth worse?" "I sent for Mother," said Joe, beginning to cry. "Beth doesn't know us anymore." Laurie held her hand and whispered, "I'm here, Joe. Hold on to me. Your mother will be here soon, and then everything will be all right." "I'm glad Father is better," said Joe. Now Mother won't feel so bad about coming home." "You're very tired," said Laurie, "but I'll tell you something to cheer you up better than anything." "What is it?" said Joe. Laurie smiled. "I sent a telegram to your mother yesterday, and Mr. Brooks answered that she's come at once. She'll be here tonight, and everything will be all right." Joe threw her arms around him. "Oh, Laurie! Oh, Mother! I am so glad!" She did not cry again, but held on to her friend. He was surprised, but he smoothed her hair and followed this with a kiss or two. Joe pushed him gently away. "Oh, don't! I didn't mean—" "I enjoyed it," laughed Laurie, then went on. "Grandfather and I thought your mother ought to know. She wouldn't forgive us if if anything happened. Her train will be in at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'll meet her." On that day, the snow fell, and the hours went slowly by. The doctor came, then said he would come back after midnight, when he expected there to be some change in Beth's condition, for better or worse. Hannah fell asleep in the chair beside Beth's bed. Mr. Lawrence waited downstairs, while Laurie lay on the floor pretending to rest. The girls just waited, unable to sleep. At 12 o'clock, a change seemed to pass over Beth's face. Hannah slept on, but the girls saw a shadow which seemed to fall upon the little bed. An hour went by, and Laurie left quietly for the station. At 2 o'clock, Jo was standing at the window, watching the snow. She heard something and turned to see Meg, kneeling beside her mother's chair. A cold feeling of fear passed over Jo. "Beth is dead," she thought. She ran to the bed. The pain had gone from Beth's face, and now there was a look of peace instead. Jo kissed her and softly whispered, "Goodbye, Beth, goodbye." Hannah woke up and looked at Beth. "The fever's gone," she cried. "She's sleeping and breathing easily." The doctor came soon after. "I think she'll be all right," he said. "Keep the house quiet and let her sleep." Meg and Jo held each other close, their hearts too full for words. Beth was lying as she used to, with her cheek on her hand and breathing quietly. "I wish Mother would come now," whispered Jo. And a moment later, they heard the sound of the door below, a cry from Hannah, and Laurie Happy's voice saying, "Girls, she's come, she's come."
When I miss you, I take a drive by the water, roll the windows down, turn on Ed Sheeran, and take the long way around. I'll take the long way around when I miss you.
Chapter 12. Loved and Mr. Brooke. When Beck woke from her long sleep, she looked into her mother's face and smiled. Then she slept again. But Mrs. Smart held on to her daughter's thin little hand. Hannah made breakfast, while Meg and Jo listened as the mother told them about their father's health. And Mr. Brooke promised to stay with him. Then Meg and Jo closed their tired eyes and were able to rest at last. Laurie went to give the good news to Amy at Aunt March's house. He too was tired after the long night and just managed to finish telling his story before he fell asleep in the chair. Amy began to write a short letter to her mother, but before she could finish it, she saw Mrs. Smart coming towards her aunt's house. Amy ran to meet her. There were probably many happy little girls in the city that day, but Amy was the happiest of them all as she sat on her mother's knee. "I've been thinking a lot about Beth," she said. "Everyone loves her because she isn't selfish. People wouldn't feel half so bad about me if I was sick, but I like to be loved and missed. I'm going to try and be like Beth as much as I can. Her mother kissed her. I'm sure you will succeed, she said. Now I must go back to Beth. Be patient, little daughter, and we'll soon have you home again. That evening, while Meg was writing to her father, Jo went upstairs to Beth's room and found her mother beside the bed, as the little girl slept. I want to tell you something, mother, said Jo. Is it about Meg? Said Mrs. Smart. How quickly you guessed, said Jo. Yes, it's about her. Last summer, Meg lost one of her gloves at the Lawrence's picnic, and later, Laurie told me that Mr. Brooke had it and kept it in his coat pocket. It fell out once, and Laurie saw it. Mr. Brooke told Laurie that he liked Meg, but was afraid to tell her because she was so young and he was so poor. Isn't it all awful? Do you think Meg likes and cares about him? Asked Mrs. March with a worried look. I don't know anything about love, said Jo. Do you think she's not interested in John? Said Mrs. March. Who? Said Jo, staring. Mr. Brooke, said her mother. I call him John because we became good friends at the hospital. Oh dear, said Jo. He's been good to father, and now you let Meg marry him if she wants to. My dear, don't be angry, said Mrs. March. John told her quite honestly that he loved Meg, but said he would earn enough money for a comfortable home before he asked her to marry him. He wants very much to make her love him if he can. He's an excellent young man, but your father and I will not agree to Meg marrying before she is 20. I want her to marry Laurie and be rich, said Jo. I'm afraid Laurie isn't grown up enough for Meg, says Mrs. March. Don't make plans, Jo. Let Tom and their own hearts bring your friends together. Meg came in with a letter for her father. Beautifully written, my dear, says her mother, looking at the letter. Please add that I send my love to John. Do you call him John? Says Meg, smiling. Yes, he be like a son to us, and we're very fond of him, said Mrs. March, watching her daughter closely. I'm glad of that, because he's so lonely, was Meg's quiet answer. Good night, mother dear. Mrs. March kissed her gently. She does not love John yet, she thought, but she will soon learn to.
I just miss you. When I miss you.
Well, everything is getting better for the Marches family. And what will happen next for Matt March and Mr. John Brooke? Let's wait until the next video to see. Please give me a like, a share, and a subscribe for my channel. Thank you a lot and goodbye.
When I miss you.